Life is a Marathon, session 90. Hey, thank you so much for taking time to be with me today. I'm very excited to have you with me. I am recording this on April 7th. And so yesterday I did a show that was recounting the last year. And so it was an emotional show because yesterday was April 6th and it was Monday. And so I did it based on the calendar year of 1 year after my surgery from cancer. But the actual anniversary date is today, April 7th. And so I'm here talking to you right now, and I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be with you. I'm happy that you have chosen to take time out of your busy day, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are in the world. So let me start off by just saying thank you. I genuinely appreciate you. I appreciate you telling me how much you enjoy this show, how much the words that I say mean to you. And I get a tremendous amount of value from myself by just the process of doing this. So I want to jump right into today's lesson. It's going to be a short topic today. And, one thing that I did forget to mention yesterday in my list of amazing things, one of the things I was recounting was if while I was lying in the hospital bed this time last year, if you had asked me about some things that I thought would happen in the next year, and so, or, in the year up to right now. And so yesterday I listed a bunch of things that completely, I had no idea that they would happen, and that would be so cool. Last year I was very active in my life coaching practice. I had amazing clients, people that I was working with, absolutely loved doing it, but I wanted to expand my reach in some way. So if you had asked me this question, I would not have responded with the answer that in the next year I will start an online life coaching community. And I did that, and it has been amazing. I've got 57 active members right now who engage with me every single day. We do monthly coaching Skype calls. Their stories are amazing. They come from all varied backgrounds, all over the world. And it's just a great way for me to be able to interact with more people and try to add value to their lives. And so, maybe this is a little advertisement, but if you've ever thought about life coaching, if you've ever thought about working with me, then my online community is a great way to start interacting with me and seeing if that's going to be something that that you want to do. So you can get more information about that by going to lifeisamarathon.com/team, TEAM. And so I call it the Life is a Marathon coaching team. So lifeisamarathon.com/team. That's the only advertisement I'll do for the day, but that is one of the things that I am super excited about. And had you asked me about it this time last year when I was in the hospital, I never would have said that I would start my own online community. So it's been fun. I love speaking to people about professional development, and it's just something that I love to do. I love the idea of personal development and professional development. In fact, later this week, on Thursday of this week, I'm going to be speaking to a group of young professionals about this very subject of professional development. How can people grow in their careers? How can you mature? How can you get a job? How can so all of the things related to developing yourself on a professional level. And the message that I have to say is really, really very simple. Professional development is important if you want a professional career. But professional development is first and foremost a byproduct of personal development. You will not be a successful professional if you are not successful in who you are as a person, because your professional life is all about how you are interacting with people on a personal level. So you may work at a factory, you may work in a big huge corporation and you've got a cubicle job. You actually may work at home and not interact with people face to face every day, but professions require interacting with people, and interacting with people requires that you work on your people skills. And so I'm always going to stress personal development as the underlying foundation for everything that you do, including professional development. And so let me ask you this question. It's a question that I love. I don't remember exactly when the first time I heard it phrased this way, but let me ask you, if you're thinking about your career, what's more important to you, your resume or your eulogy? It's a really, really important question. And you often don't think of them as being related. So on one side, you've got your resume. This is your list of qualifications for a job, listing your education, the degrees you have, any awards or certifications that you have achieved, anything of an outstanding nature that you want to use to grab the attention of a potential employer. And that's important. It really is important. And then on the other side, you've got your eulogy. Now, most of us, I would say that the overwhelming majority of us, unless you do something that is really out of the ordinary, most of us will never hear our eulogy, because the eulogy is the message that people who know you deliver after you've died. And so it's, what are people saying about you at your funeral? That's what your eulogy is. And so the subject has been on my mind because today, April 7th, actually does represent the anniversary. I honestly can't remember how many years it's been. It's been at least 10, but I want to say it's been 12 years since a very good friend of mine passed away. His name was Sam. And Sam was an amazing businessman. He was. He owned a local business here where I live, but it did phenomenal business. He owned a machine shop, and they specialized in cutting stainless steel and fabricating machine equipment from that. He had a huge contract with the Navy. I know his father very well. And Sam passed away at a very young age. Sam was only 42 years old. Sam was only 1 year older than I was. And so, yeah, it's probably been like right at 10 years now. And I still remember his funeral. The funeral was packed. It was standing room only. I don't know that I've been to many funerals that have had as many people turn out for the number of people that turned out for Sam's funeral. And what was amazing about Sam's funeral was many, many of his current and former employees came. Many of his previous and his company's current clients, his customers, came to the funeral. Now that says an awful lot right there. If you can conduct your business in such a way that when you die, your customers are moved personally, moved enough to take time out of their work to come to your funeral, that says an awful lot. It says so much. All of the people who spoke at Sam's funeral, well, there were mentions, very brief mentions, of his education, which wasn't stellar. He wasn't a Harvard graduate. In fact, he had trouble in school. Some of them talked about some of his accomplishments in selling. He was a great salesperson. But everyone who talked about his academic qualifications and his abilities to manage a business, his ability to sell very high-level clients, none of them were talking about those things as if they were line items on his resume. They all talked about those things and how Sam used those things to connect with and to build relationships with people, because that's what it's all about. If you've listened to my interview with Tom Ziglar, the son of the world famous, legendary Zig Ziglar, who has trained more salespeople than I think anybody in the history of sales trainers. Zig was an amazing guy. It's all about relationships. People are not buying. They may walk out of the store, they may drive off of the parking lot, or they may leave your business with a product that they purchased from you. They may use a service that they provide. But ultimately, as a salesperson, your customers are buying you, and they're buying your integrity, and you're wanting them to benefit from the product or service that you are providing. And so when you genuinely want to take the product or service or message that you're trying to sell to people, but do it in a way because you honestly believe that you are going to enhance the value of their lives, then people are going to trust you. They're going to buy from you. And that says a lot more about you than it does, it's not something that's just added to your resume. So that's really the message that I want you to think about. So your degrees, your skills, your accomplishments, those are all important things. And so especially if you're young in your career, then absolutely yes, building your resume is important. But what I want you to do is, I've talked about the living and playing the end game. Live today, even if you're a very young person. Okay, I'm 51 years old. So even if you're 21 or if you're 71, it doesn't really matter. Live today with the end of your life in mind. Live today with a desire for what you want people to say about you at your funeral. What do you want? What are the things that you want said in your eulogy about you? You can do that. You can do that. You can live that way. In fact, I go through a life plan. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you joined back in episode 50 of my Life is a Marathon podcast, I started a 6-series life plan. Step 2 is, I think I don't know. It's either the first or the second most important step in creating your life plan. And what I do is I have you imagine that you are at the end of your life. You are still of sound mind, and you are well advanced in age, but you have gathered around you the people that you have influenced in your life, and they are telling you stories about how much you meant to them, how much you added value to their lives, the things you taught them, the things you showed them, the kindness that you extended. So I ask you to imagine those things and then come back to the present, and with the voices in your head of what you want people to say to you at the end of your life, there's your roadmap for how to live today. Okay, so there's a great quote by Dr. Seuss, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss says, "Today, I will behave as if this is the day for which I will be remembered." You can do that every single day. When you get out of bed in the morning, think to yourself, if I'm going to have my 15 minutes of fame, if I'm going to be on world news for something today, if today is going to be the day that most of the people in my life will remember, what do I want to be remembered for? Okay? And that's how you live your day every single day. Okay? So while your resume is very, very important for building your career, for advancing professionally, okay, what's more important is living in such a way that adds things to your eulogy. That's what it's all about. It's all about people. It's about establishing relationships and living in a way that matters to other people. And another great quote, I didn't even have this one planned, but it's a great quote by Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, "I shall endeavor to live that when I die, even the undertaker will be sad." What a great way to live. So that's the message that I want to share with you today. Think about it. Your resume or your eulogy. Okay? Your resume is important, but your eulogy reflects how you lived your life and the influence that you had on people. And when you have influence, positive influence on more and more people, that cannot help but advance you professionally if that's your goal. So anyway, there's the message for you today. I love you. Keep thinking intentionally about your life. Don't just go through the motions day after day after day. Plan your life. Live your life. Love your life. Because I love you. And I believe that life is a marathon. So let's train for it.